Before we continue, you need to remember where this journey started. There was a time when money did not exist. In episode 2, we saw a world where human survival was everything, strength was value, skill was power, energy was currency. If you could hunt, you could eat. If you could not, you depended on others. Money wasn't something you owned, it was something you were. Then in episode 3, everything changed. Humans discovered something powerful. Land could produce food. Again and again, for the first time in history, value could be stored. Surplus was created. Food was no longer just survival. It became power, families that controlled land, controlled production, and those who controlled production controlled the future. That was the birth of wealth, inheritance, economic hierarchy. But something was still missing. Even with land, even with surplus, there was a problem. A farmer could grow yam. But what if he needed fish? A fisherman could catch fish. But what if he needed tools? There was value, but no system to exchange it efficiently, and that problem would lead to the next major revolution in human history. What if everything you own today had to be traded? Without money. No cash, no transfer, no bank app, just exchange. You have yam, I have fish, we trade. Simple, right? But what happens when I don't want your yam? Pause, because that simple problem is one of the biggest reasons money was created. For thousands of years, humans lived in a world where money did not exist. Yet trade existed, value existed, economies existed. But they were limited, fragile, slow, inefficient, and understanding that system might completely change how you see money today. Because the truth is, money didn't come first. Problems did. Today in Nigeria, ask someone, how do you get money? They will say, my salary, my business, my hustle. They think money is something you earn directly. But that is not the full story, because before money existed, people still had needs. People still created value. People still exchanged. So what does that tell you? Money is not the beginning of the system. It is the solution to a problem. But today, many people have become dependent on money without understanding the system behind it. Let's make this real. A Nigerian graduate gets a job. He earns monthly salary. He feels secure. But remove that salary, and suddenly, everything collapses. Why? Because his value is tied to a system he does not control. Now think deeper. If money disappeared today, would you still have something valuable to exchange, or would you become stuck? This is the same problem people faced thousands of years ago, and most people today are still living like that, without realizing it. Let's break this down with a simple scenario. Imagine a village with only 3 people. Person A produces yam. Person B produces fish. Person C produces salt. Now let's assign value. 10 yams equals 1 basket of fish. 1 basket of fish equals 2 bags of salt. Now imagine, person A wants fish. Good. Trade works. But what if person B does not want yam? Now trade stops. Even though value exists, even though goods exist, even though needs exist, trade fails. Now scale this to 100 people. Then 1,000 people. Then entire regions. The probability of trade working smoothly becomes very low. Because for trade to happen, both people must want exactly what the other has. At the same time, this is called the double coincidence of wants problem. But simply put, trade only works if both people agree perfectly. And in real life, that almost never happens. This limitation slowed down human progress for centuries. Let's test your thinking. Which of these is the biggest problem of barter trade? A. People were lazy. B. Goods were not valuable. C. People could not always find matching needs. Think carefully. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The answer is C. People could not always find matching needs. That is the real limitation. Now here's the deeper question. In your life today, are you depending on a system where your value only works in one place, one job, one income source? If that system fails, what happens to you? That is modern barter thinking. And it is dangerous. The birth of barter. After agriculture developed, humans began producing surplus, more food than they needed. For the first time, exchange became necessary. A farmer had extra yam. A fisherman had extra fish, so they traded. This was the beginning of barter trade. How barter worked. Barter was simple. Goods for goods. No money, no standard price, just agreement. Example, yam for fish, salt for cloth, goat for grains. It was based on trust, negotiation, community relationships. In small villages, this system worked well, because everyone knew each other. Barter in pre-colonial Africa. Across Africa, including Nigeria, barter was widely used. Communities exchanged food, livestock, crafts, tools. Trade routes began to form. Different regions specialized. Some produced salt, some produced food, some produced tools. But even as trade expanded, the limitations became more obvious. The limitations of barter. Barter had serious problems. 1. Double coincidence problem. Both parties must want what the other has. 2. No standard value. How many yams equal one goat? No fixed answer. 3. Difficult long-distance trade. Carrying goods over distance was risky. 4. No wealth storage. Goods spoil. Value disappears. You cannot store wealth long-term. The pressure for change. As societies grew, barter became inefficient. Trade slowed down. Opportunities were lost. Human progress needed something better, something more flexible, something more reliable. And that pressure led to the next revolution, commodity money. Let's consider this framework called Barter System Limitation Framework. Before we dwell on this framework, let me share with you a story of a value-loaded man. Imagine this: the sun is rising over a small village. Dust in the air, children running barefoot, smoke rising from firewood kitchens. A man walks slowly through the village, carrying a basket full of yams on his head. His name is Aid. He is tired. Not weak, but tired. Because today, he is not just looking for food, he is looking for something else. Fish. He walks past one house. Nothing. Another house. Nothing. Finally, he finds a fisherman. The man has fresh fish, exactly what Aid needs. Aid smiles. Relief. He lowers his basket, points at the fish, then points at his yams. A simple trade, yam for fish. That is how the world worked. But something is wrong. The fisherman looks at the yams and shakes his head. He doesn't want yams. He already has food. What he needs is salt. Pause. Feel that moment. Aid has value. Real value, food, effort, time. But in this moment, his value is useless. Not because it has no worth, but because it is not wanted. Now Aid has a problem. A big problem. To get fish, he must first find someone who has salt and is willing to exchange it for yams. Then, he must come back and trade that salt for fish. This is not trade anymore. This is struggle. So he walks again. Village to village, sweat dripping, energy draining, time passing. The sun rising higher, his yams getting heavier. Not because of weight, but because of frustration. Hours later, he finally finds someone with salt, a woman sitting under a tree. She looks at the yams. She agrees. Trade happens, finally. Now Aid rushes back to the fisherman. Hope returns. He holds the salt tightly. This time, it must work, but when he gets there, the fisherman is gone. Silence. The fish are gone. The opportunity is gone. The value is gone. Now ask yourself, was Aid poor? No, he had value. He had food. He had effort. He had time. So what was the problem? The system. This was the hidden weakness of barter. Not lack of effort, not lack of value, but lack of alignment. Value had to match. At the same time, in the same place, with the right person. This is what economists call the double coincidence of wants. But forget the big grammar. Here is the simple truth. You must have what I want, at the exact time I want it, and I must have what you want. Doesn't happen. Trade fails. Value is wasted. Time is lost. Opportunities disappear. And this is where everything begins to change. Because humans started to realize something powerful. Something dangerous. Something revolutionary. What if there was something that everyone would accept? Something that does not depend on personal preference. Something that could represent value, even when direct needs don't match. That question changed human history forever. Because that question is what gave birth to the next evolution of money. From that frustration, from that limitation, from that broken system, humanity began searching for something new. Something stable, something acceptable to all. Something that could store value and move across people, places, and time. And that search is what led to the birth of commodity money. The barter system limitation framework. This framework explains greater than why the barter system failed as an economic system, not because people lacked value, but because the system lacked efficiency and alignment. It is built on one core principle: value must match at the same time, in the same place, between two people. If that doesn't happen, trade fails. Let's examine the core components of these framework. 1. Value exists. 8 has yams, real effort, real value. 2. Need mismatch. The fisherman doesn't want yams. 3. Search cost increases. Ed must now look for someone else. 4. Time and energy loss. Walking, waiting, effort wasted. 5. Opportunity loss. By the time he returns, the fish are gone. The framework reveals a powerful truth. Greater than having value is not enough. Your value must be acceptable, transferable, and timely. This is the limitation of barter. And this is why wealth could not scale. Trade could not expand. Systems could not grow. Before money, before coins, before banks, there was only one way to exchange value: trade by barter. Simple, direct, human. You give what you have and take what you need. Sounds perfect. No middleman, no currency, no complexity, just value for value. But hidden inside this simple system was a silent problem, a problem so powerful it stopped wealth from ever growing. Pause. Let's examine the barter breakdown framework stages. Let's begin with 8. 8 wakes up early. He goes to his farm. He digs the ground, plants, harvests, carries heavy yams on his head. Sweat, effort, time, pain. Now pause. 8 has done everything right. He worked hard. He produced value, real value. In today's world, this is like working a job, earning a salary, having money in your account. So logically, 8 should be fine, right? But this is where the illusion begins. Because in barter, having value does not guarantee usefulness. 8 walks into the village. He finds a fisherman. Fresh fish, perfect, exactly what he needs. He offers his yams, a fair trade, simple, but the fisherman says no, not because the yams are useless, but because he doesn't need them. Pause. This is the moment everything breaks. 8 has value, but not the right value. At the right time, for the right person. This is the hidden truth. Value is not absolute. It is situational. Now 8 has a new problem: to get fish. He must first find someone who wants yams and has something the fisherman wants. This is not trade anymore. This is a chain of dependency. But in simple terms, I must want what you have, and you must want what I have at the same time. If that doesn't happen, nothing happens. No exchange, no progress, no movement. Now watch what happens to 8. He starts moving again, walking, searching, negotiating, waiting. The sun gets hotter. His body gets weaker. His energy drops. But here's the deeper truth. Value is now decaying, not physically, but economically. Because time is passing, opportunities are disappearing. Effort is increasing. In modern terms, this is like missing opportunities, delayed decisions, income not matching needs. Finally, 8 finds someone with salt, a successful trade, relief, hope returns. He rushes back to the fisherman. This time, it should work, but when he arrives, the fisherman is gone, the fish are gone, the opportunity is gone, and just like that, his value becomes useless again. Pause. Let that sink in. 8 did not fail. His effort did not fail. His value did not fail. The system failed him. This is the core of the framework. Barter did not fail because people lacked value. It failed because value could not flow. Value was hard to exchange, hard to match, hard to move, hard to store, which means trade was slow. Growth was limited. Wealth was impossible. This is why no large economies existed. No global trade systems formed. No generational wealth was built. because every day started from zero. Now bring it to today. How many people work hard, earn money, but still feel stuck? How many people have skills, have knowledge, but cannot turn it into income? That is modern barter thinking. You have value, but your value is not positioned correctly, scaled correctly, aligned with demand. So just like aid, you keep moving, working, trying, but results don't match effort. That idea changed everything because it solved the biggest problem, flow of value. From that frustration, from that repeated failure, from that broken system, humanity created a new solution, not based on direct exchange, but based on shared acceptance. And that solution became commodity money. The problem was never lack of value, it was lack of a system that allows value to flow. This idea would evolve into commodity money, gold, silver, currency systems, eventually leading to global financial systems, banking, digital money. And Nigeria is part of this story. From barter, to cowries, to colonial currency systems, to the naira. But it all started with one simple problem. Barter was not enough, so what is money, really? Before coins, before paper, before digital banking, money was an idea, a solution. Money is stored human time, transferable value. Proof that you solved a problem. In the barter system, value existed, but it was trapped, it could not move freely. It depended on coincidence. Money changed that. It made value fluid, transferable, scalable. Think about this carefully. If you solve a problem today, and you are paid, that money represents your time, your effort, your value. But here is the deeper truth. Money does not reward effort alone. It rewards usefulness, impact, scale. A farmer feeding 10 people has value. A system feeding 10,000 people has greater value. This is why some people struggle, and others build wealth. Because money follows, problems solved, people served, systems created. And if you don't understand this, you will keep working without growing. Why does this matter today? Because many people are still living in a modern version of barter. You exchange time for salary every month. But here's the problem. Your value is tied to one employer, one system, one structure. If that system stops, your income stops. That is fragile. In the past, land created wealth because it produced continuously. Today, systems create wealth, digital skills, online businesses, platforms, networks. If your value can only be exchanged in one place, you are limited. But if your value can reach many people, you scale. This is the difference between survival and wealth. This is the philosophy behind the first millionaire in your family. You don't just earn money. You build systems that produce value continuously. This episode reveals something powerful about life and money. First, value alone is not enough. If your value cannot be exchanged efficiently, it becomes limited. This is why many talented people remain stuck, not because they lack ability, but because they lack systems that make their value transferable. Second, systems are more powerful than effort. The barter system required constant negotiation and effort, but it could not scale. In the same way, working hard without structure keeps you in survival mode. Third, accessibility creates opportunity. The easier it is for people to access your value, the more wealth you can create. This is why modern tools, platforms, and digital skills are so powerful. Fourth, inefficiency destroys value. Just like goods spoiled in barter trade, time and energy are wasted when systems are not optimized. Many people today are losing value without realizing it. Fifth, evolution is necessary for growth. Every economic system improved because humans adapted. If you do not evolve your thinking about money, you will remain stuck in outdated systems. Now, how do you apply this? Start by identifying what value you currently offer. Then ask yourself, can this value reach more people? If not, how can you improve skills that are transferable and scalable? Focus on things that can solve problems beyond your immediate environment. Build systems, not just income streams. Think beyond monthly earnings and start thinking about continuous value creation. Position yourself where your value is needed and easily accessible. This increases your chances of growth and financial expansion. Finally, commit to learning deeply. Because without understanding, you will repeat the same patterns unconsciously for thousands of years. Humans tried to trade. Without money, they had value. They had goods, they had effort. But they lacked a system, and because of that, they remained limited. Today, many people are still living the same way. Different tools, same limitation, but you are now seeing something different. You are beginning to understand the system behind money, and if you want to go deeper, if you want structure, if you want a clear path, then you need to go beyond these videos. In the book, The First Millionaire in Your Family, everything is broken down step by step. Readers have already started changing how they think, how they earn, how they build wealth, because once you understand the system, you stop guessing. The link is in the description. Start building your foundation, and if this episode opened your mind, like the video, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe to the channel, because this is not just content. This is a financial awakening. The problem was never that humans lacked value. The problem was, value could not move. A farmer had food, but could not trade it easily. A hunter had skill, but could not store it. A trader had goods, but could not carry wealth across distance. And so, for thousands of years, human effort kept getting trapped inside broken systems. But then, something changed. Humans stopped asking, "What do you need?" and started asking, "Greater than what will everyone accept?" That question was the beginning of real money. Because for the first time in history, value no longer depended on personal agreement. It depended on collective belief. And that belief took physical form, not paper, not coins, not bank alerts, something simpler, something strange, something powerful, shells. Yes. In West Africa, something as small as a shell became powerful enough to replace barter. Imagine that. A farmer no longer needed to search for someone who wanted yam. A fisherman no longer needed to wait for the right person. Now, they could trade with anyone, anytime, anywhere, because everyone accepted the same thing. This changed everything. Trade became faster, wealth became storable, value began to move. But something even deeper happened. For the first time, humans agreed that something had value, not because it was useful, but because everyone believed it was. Pause. That idea still controls your life today. The money in your account, the cash in your pocket, the numbers on your screen, all of it, is built on that same belief system. And it didn't start in banks. It started in places like West Africa, with cowries, with trade routes, with systems that most people today know nothing about. But here's the truth. Most people in Nigeria today use money every single day, without understanding where it came from. And if you don't understand where money came from, you will never fully understand how to grow it. That's why the next episode is critical. Because we are going deeper into your own history, your own system, your own reality. Next episode, from cowries to coins, early money in Nigeria. In that episode, you will discover how cowrie shells became real money in West Africa, why people trusted shells more than goods, how trade routes from across the world shaped African wealth, the hidden system behind Manila's and metal currencies, and how Nigeria's money story truly began. But more importantly, you will begin to understand something deeper. Greater than money is not what it looks like, it is what people agree it is. And once you understand that, you stop chasing money blindly, and start positioning yourself to attract it. So don't miss the next episode. Because this is where money stops being survival and starts becoming power. Watch episode 5, because this is where your understanding of money becomes dangerous. This channel is not about motivation. It is about transformation. Every video you watch here is one step closer to becoming the first millionaire in your family. Not through luck, not through hype, but through discipline, structure, and long-term thinking. We are building thinkers. We are building investors. We are building legacy creators. And if you stay here long enough, apply what you learn, and study the blueprint inside the first millionaire in your family, you won't just change your income, you will change your bloodline. So if this video shifted your thinking even a little, subscribe, because this is not just content. This is preparation. And 10 years from now, you'll either look back and say, I started when it was small, or I wish I did. Choose wisely. I'll see you in the next lesson.